Hello everyone. Welcome back to another lecture on reasoning ability and problem solving. In today's lecture, we will discuss some previous year questions from syllogisms that have come in your competitive exams. In this lecture, we will discuss questions on SSC MTS. The date of the exam is also given here for your reference. Now let us look at question number 1. So we have discussed in the previous lecture that this much information is there in your questions in your competitive exam. So what does it say? In the following question below are given some statements followed by some conclusions based on those statements. So basically we have set of 2 statements and set of 3 conclusions. Taking the given statements to be true even if they seem to be at variance from commonly known facts. So basically we have to consider the statements to be universal truth, correct? This we have already discussed. The statements are to be considered the universal truth or universal fact. So what do you mean by that? For example, if I have 2 statements, all cats are birds, okay, and statement number 2 is, let's say, some birds are snakes, okay. Statement number 2 says some birds are snakes. So these, if you look at them with logic, how can cats and birds be same? How can all cats be birds? They are different species. Similarly, how can some birds be snakes? They are different species, altogether different species. So this is not true according to the common logic. According to the common logic, this is not true. But whenever we solve questions in syllogisms, we consider the statements to be universal truth or the universal fact. This is important. This is highly important. Only after assuming your statements to be universally true, we can continue with the question. Okay? Now, it is written that read all the conclusions and then decide which of the given conclusions logically follow the given statements. So, logically follow means we are looking for conclusions that are either definitely true, so they should be 100% true, okay? Or we are looking for conclusions that are possibility, that has a possibility to be true, but it should be mentioned that it is a possibility. There is a difference. If it is written, let's say, all men are standing, for example, and all men are standing could be a possibility. It is written like this, could be a possibility. The meaning of the sentence changes. The meaning of the sentences changes. The first sentence, all men are standing, basically tells you it is a straight up conclusion that all men are standing. And the second statement, that all men are standing could be a possibility, basically tells you that it may or may not be true. Some men can be standing, some men cannot be, maybe not be standing, right? So the meaning changes. So if it is mentioned it is a possibility and it is a possibility, then only we mark it correct, otherwise we mark it false. So this much information you should be aware about before attempting or before starting any question on syllogisms. So let us start with the question. Question number 1. Question number 1, 2 set of statements and 3 set of conclusions. First statement says no T is L. That means T and L are separate entities. They will not overlap. Correct? No T is L basically means T and L are separate entities and they will not overlap. Second statement is all L are K. So all L are K is again will be represented like this. So this is my Venn diagram. All L are a part of K. This will be my Venn diagram. Based on this Venn diagram, I have to look at the conclusions. Conclusion number 1 says some K are L. So definitely this portion of K is L. So some K are L is true. Second one says some K are T. Now there is no restriction on K. K can be drawn like this. K can be drawn like this. Correct? So some K R T is a possibility. It may or may not be true, but it is not mentioned in the conclusion that it is a possibility. Therefore, this will be false. Third one says no K is L. We know this area of K is definitely L. So this is also false. So my answer will be conclusion 1 follows. So if I look at the options, option number 4 says only conclusion 1 follows. This will be my answer. Clear? This will be my answer. Question number 2. Set of 2 statements and 3 conclusions. Statement 1 says some numbers are letters. So some numbers are letters, highlight being this. Second one says no letter is water, so water is a separate entity and letter is a separate entity. They will not overlap. This will be my Venn diagram. Now let us look at the conclusions. First conclusion says some water are numbers. This may or may not be true. This is a possibility, correct? This is a possibility. So this will be false. Second one says some letters are numbers. Definitely this is being highlighted. Some letters are numbers. These are true. Third one says all letters are waters. So letters and waters cannot overlap, correct? Letters and waters cannot overlap. So this is definitely false. So only conclusion number 2 is the one that is following. So if I look at the options, option number 3 is only conclusion 2 follows. This will be my answer. Okay? This will be my answer. Question number 3. Question number 3, set of 2 statements and 2 conclusions. Statement number 1 says no apples are trees. So apples and trees are separate entities. No apples are trees. Correct? Some trees are dense. That means some trees will be dense. So it will be represented like this, highlight being this. Okay, highlight being this. Some trees are dense. So this is my Venn diagram. Let us look at the conclusions. Conclusion number 1 says some apple are dense. So again, some apple are dense is a possibility. It may or may not be true. So we will consider it to be false because it is not mentioned in the question that it is a possibility. Conclusion number 2 says no tree is an apple. So again, no tree is an apple is correct because they cannot overlap. So this is true. So I will say that only conclusion number 2 is true, which is given in option number 4. So option number 4 will be my answer. Okay. Coming to question number 4. Set of 2 statements and 2 conclusions. Statement number 1 says all radios are electronic items. So all radios will be subset of electronic items, correct? They will be subset of electronic items, correct? Now, statement number 2 says some speakers are electronic items. That means some speakers, this area will be highlighted, will be electronic items. This will be my Venn diagram. Now let us look at the conclusions. Conclusion number 1 says no radio is a speaker. This may or may not be true. This is a possibility, correct? This is a possibility, therefore this is false. Conclusion number 2 says some radios are speakers. Again, radio can be like this also. There is no restriction. So if radios are like this, okay, if radio is like this, then this part highlights that some radios are speakers. So this is also a possibility. Hence, this will be individually, it will be false. Correct? Now, either no radio is a speaker is a negative statement. Correct? And some radios are speaker is a positive statement. So now, either no radio will be speaker or some radios will be speaker. So either of the two will be possible. So I can say either 1 or 2 will follow, correct? Because one of the following possibility will be true. Either negative possibility will be true or positive possibility will be true. So either 1 will follow or 2 will follow. So if I look at the options, option number 4 says either conclusion 1 or 2 follows. This will be my answer. Clear? This will be my answer. Question number 5. Set of 3 statements and 2 conclusions. Statement number 1 says some holders are parameters. So some holders are parameters. This is the highlighted part. Some holders are parameters. Second one says some chambers are parameters. So chambers will be like this. This will be the highlighted part. Some chambers are parameters. Then it is given some parameters are not measures. So some parameters are not measure. This will be the highlighted part because there are certain parameters that are not measures. Okay. So this will be how my Venn diagram will look. Conclusion number 1 says some measures are chambers. This is a possibility. So it is a possibility, that means it is false because it is not mentioned in the question that it is a possibility. Conclusion number 2 says some holders are chambers. So again, holders are chambers. It is a possibility but it is not mentioned, therefore it will be false. So both my statements will be false. So I can see it is written in option number 4 that neither conclusion 1 nor 2 follows. This will be my answer. Neither conclusion 1 nor 2 will follow. Clear? Question number 6. Set of 2 statements and 2 conclusions. Statement 1 says all cookies are sweet. So all cookies are sweet. Correct? All cookies are a part of sweet. Statement number 2 says some sweet are snacks. So this is snacks and this is sweet. Some sweet are snacks. This is the highlighted part. Some sweet are snacks. So this is my Venn diagram. Let us look at the conclusion. Conclusion number 1 says all sweet are cookies. So all sweet are cookies is not true. Correct? So this is false. Conclusion number 2 says all cookies are snacks. Again, all cookies are snacks is a possibility. It is not definitely true. And it is not mentioned that it is a possibility. Therefore, it will be false. So both of my statements will be false. My answer will be option number 1. Neither conclusion 1 nor 2 follows. Clear? Neither conclusion 1 nor 2 follows. This will be my answer. Question number 7. Set of 2 statements and 3 conclusions. Statement 1 says no B is A. That means B and A will not overlap, correct? No B is A. B and A will not overlap. Second one says no C is B. So no C is B, that means C and B will not overlap with each other. But there is no restriction on C and A. No C is B is written like this. C and B will not overlap with each other. Okay? Now, conclusion 1 is no C is A. This is not correct because there is no restriction on A and C. There is restriction on A and B and there is restriction on B and C. But there is no restriction on A and C. Therefore, this is false. Conclusion number 2 says no A is B. This is correct. No and A is B will be true. Then, third one says some B are not C. This will also be true because they are not overlapping. So, I can say that both conclusion 2 and 3 will follow but 1 will not follow. So, if I look at the options, option number 3 says both conclusion 2 and 3 follows. This will be my answer. Clear? This will be my answer. Question number 8. 2 statements, 2 conclusions. Statement 1 says all black are green. So, all black are green and no green is red. That means green and red are separate entities. They will not overlap with each other. So, all black are green and no green is red. So, green and red are separate entities. They will not overlap with each other. Statement number 2 says all red are pink. So, all red are pink will be written like this. All red are pink. Correct? This will be my Venn diagram. This will be my representation. Let us look at the conclusions. Conclusion number 1 says all black are pink. So this may or may not be true. There is restriction on red and green, right? There is restriction on red and green. So all black are pink is a possibility. This is a possibility. So this will be false, correct? This will be false. Conclusion number 2 says some green are pink. So some green are pink, again it is a possibility. Therefore, it will also be false. So, basically, both the conclusion will be false. So, option number 2 says neither conclusion 1 nor 2 follows. This will be my answer. Neither 1 nor 2 will follow. Clear? Question number 9. 2 statements, 2 conclusion. First one says all leopards are cheetahs. So, all leopards are cheetahs will be represented like this. All leopards are cheetahs. Correct? Cheetahs. Statement number 2 says no cheetah is a cat. So that means cheetah and cat will not overlap with each other. So this will be my Venn diagram. All leopards are cheetahs and no cheetah is a cat. Correct? Now let us look at the conclusion. Conclusion number 1 says some cats are leopards. So since cat and cheetahs are not overlapping, can cats and leopards overlap? No, because leopards are a subset of leopards are a subset of cheetahs. So if cheetahs and cats are not overlapping, that means leopard and cats will not overlap, correct? So this will be false. Conclusion number 2 says some cats are cheetahs, definitely false because there is restriction, they cannot overlap with each other. So both my statement are false. So my answer will be option number 2, neither conclusion 1 nor 2 is following. Both of them are wrong. Correct? Question number 10. question number 10, two set of statements, two set of conclusions. Statement 1 says no G is H. That means G and H are separate entities. They will not overlap with each other. No G is H. Correct? And statement 2 says some R are G. So R can be represented like this. This will be the highlighted part that says some R are G. Correct? So this will be my Venn diagram. Now let us look at the conclusion. Conclusion number 1 says some H are not G. This is definitely correct because they are not overlapping. So this will be true. Second one says all H are R. So there is no restriction on H and R. Other possibility can be, let's say it is written some R are G. So it is drawn like this. Some R are G and no G is H is drawn like this. Let's say this is also true. This is also a possibility. So all H are R is correct in this one, but it is not correct in this one. Correct? So now we have two possibilities. So it may or may not be true. So that means we will consider it to be false. If it was written all H R R is a possibility, then it would have been correct. Then it would have been correct. But since the word possibility is not mentioned, it will be false. So only conclusion 1 will follow. So option number 2 says only conclusion 1 follows. This will be my answer. Option number 2 will be my answer to this question. Clear? Now, question number 11. Two statements, two conclusions. Statement 1 says some pastas are pizzas. So, some pastas, let's say this is pasta, our pizza will be represented like this. This being the highlighted part. Some pastas are pizzas. Then it is given to us no pizza is burger. That means pizza and burger will not overlap. Correct? No pizza is burger. Statement number 2 says all burgers are nachos. So all burgers are nachos will be represented like this. Correct? All burgers are nachos. All burgers are a part of nachos. Correct? This will be my representation. This will be the Venn diagram. Now let us look at the conclusion. Conclusion number 1 says some pasta being nacho is a possibility. Now pay attention to the word possibility. So some pasta being nachos is a possibility, definitely, because there is no restriction. Nachos can be like this also. Correct? Nachos can be like this also. There is no restriction. So we have to answer whether it is a possibility or not. It is a possibility, therefore it will be true. So if it was written some pasta is nacho, then it would be wrong, because then it is a straight up conclusion and the word possibility is not being included. Since the word possibility is included, I can say this is true. Second one says all pizza being nacho is a possibility. So definitely pizza can come inside nachos. There is no restriction. Therefore this will also be true. Pay attention to the word possibility. It should be mentioned that it is a possibility. So this will also be true. Correct? So both my statements will be true. So answer will be both conclusion 1 and 2 follows option number 1. Option number 1 will be the answer. Both conclusion 1 and 2 are following. Clear? Now question 12. Set of two statements and two conclusions. First statement says all cars are red. That means all cars will be subset of red. Correct? All cars are red. All cars will be subset of red. Statement number 2 says no blue is red. That means blue and red are separate entities. They will not overlap with each other. Correct? No blue is red will be drawn like this. No blue is red will be drawn like this. This will be my Venn diagram. Now let us look at the conclusions. Conclusion number 1 says no car is blue. So definitely this is true. Since red and blue are not overlapping, can cars and blue overlap? No, because cars is part of red. So if red and blue are not overlapping, cars and blue will not overlap. Therefore, no car will be blue. So this is a true statement. Correct? Now, conclusion number 2 says some red are cars. So definitely this is red and this portion of red is cars. So some portion of red is definitely cars. Therefore, this will be true conclusion. So both my conclusions are true. If I look at options, option number 1 says only conclusion follows. No. Option number 2 says only conclusion 2 follows. No. Third one says all conclusions follow. Basically, it means both conclusion 1 and 2 follows. So this will be my answer. Both conclusions 1 and 2 follows, or all conclusion follows. Okay, coming to question number 13. Question number 13, statement, 2 statements, 2 conclusions. Statement 1 says some games are lands. So some games are lands. This being the highlighted area. Second statement says some toys are games. So some toys are games. This being the highlighted area. Now let us look at the conclusion. Conclusion number 1 says some toys are not lands. So some toys are not lands is a possibility. Correct? It is a possibility. It may or may not be true. So if it is a possibility, it is false. Correct? Conclusion number 2 says some lands are games. Definitely this area highlights some lands are games. So this will be true. So only conclusion 2 will follow, which is given in option number 3, that only conclusion 2 follows. This will be the answer. Only conclusion 2 follows. Clear? Question number 14, 2 statements, 2 conclusions. Statement number 1 says all M are Q. That means all M are part of Q. Correct? All M are Q means all M is part of Q. Second statement is no L is Q. That means L and Q are separate entities. They will not overlap with each other. This will be my Venn diagram. Let us look at the conclusions. Conclusion number 1 says no M is L. So Q and L are not overlapping. M is subset of Q. So will M and L overlap? No. So no M is L is true. They will not overlap with each other. Conclusion number 2 says some L are not M. So definitely some L will be not M. This is also true. So both my conclusions will follow. Answer will be option number 2, that both conclusion 1 and 2 follows. Clear? Coming to question number 15. Set of 2 statements and 3 conclusions. Statement number 1 says all birds are sparrows. So all birds, let me draw it over here. All birds are sparrows can be represented like this, correct? All birds are sparrows. Second one says all sparrows are reptiles. So all sparrows are reptiles can be represented like this, correct? So this will be my Venn diagram. All sparrows are reptiles. Now let us look at the conclusions. Conclusion number 1 says some reptiles are birds. Yes, because this is reptile and this portion of reptile, some portion of reptile is bird. So this is true. Second one says all reptiles are sparrow. No, because if you look at this portion is definitely not overlapping with sparrows. So this is false. This is a possibility. It may or may not be true. Third one is all birds are reptiles. Definitely. This is also correct because see, all birds are reptiles. This is all birds, and since it is a subset of S, since it is inside sparrow and sparrow is inside reptiles, so all birds will be reptiles. So this will be true. So I can say that both conclusion 1 and 3 will follow, but conclusion 2 will not follow. Okay, so if I look at the options, option number 4 says both conclusion 1 and 3 follow. This will be my answer. Clear? So this concludes today's lecture. Thank you.